Hi everybody, this is Mrs. Wilson. Welcome back to 5th grade social studies. Let me first off say that I'm really super excited that we are learning about history, and that not that I didn't enjoy the previous units about the U.S. Constitution, because I love learning about the Constitution, but it is a difficult topic and it's all government and very little history, and it's a little more difficult to make the Constitution sound like a story, like you're telling a story. Unlike with history, it's more of a narrative. So I'm really glad that we're back to learning about history. Our objective today is looking at the events that were associated with territorial expansion in the United States, specifically the Louisiana Purchase. And then following that this week, we're going to look at the expedition of Lewis and Clark. Our essential question is, how did the purchase of the Louisiana Territory impact the United States during the 1800s? And it certainly did do that. And we're gonna learn this week how exactly that happened. We know that our country began with 13 colonies that fought successfully for its independence in a war with Great Britain, and we went from 13 colonies to the United States of America and spread our territory all the way to the Mississippi River. But we began this school year, learning about the 50 states. So we know we have 50 states in our country. How did we get those states? How did we acquire all of that land? And this is a big part of that process of our understanding how we did that. And acquiring Louisiana was a major addition to the United States. And we're going to learn this week and next exactly how that changed how other countries in the world perceived us as we grew, and also how our leaders of our nation at that time perceived us, and how they saw a vision for our nation and where we were heading. So let's begin. Now, first of all, looking at the Louisiana Purchase, there is a brief video. It's about 3.5 minutes long that you'll be looking at as well. Actually, you probably looked at it before this presentation, and you answered a discussion question. The same questions I'll ask my students in class. If you were president of the United States and you had $15 million to spend on something that would benefit your country, what would you buy? And in years past, I've had kids say that they would buy things like military defense to defend our territory. They might buy land that they give away to others so that they can grow crops and develop the land, all sorts of things that they come up with for what they would do with that land. And so I'm eager to read what your responses are in the discussion questions that preceded this presentation. But let's begin. And what you will do, of course, is as I go through this, you will complete the note pages that should go, pretty much word for word along with what I'm presenting here on the screen. So moving westward, as the nation grew, people began to believe that there was not enough fertile land in the east. Pioneers soon created settlements along the Ohio River and the Mississippi River. They used these waterways as trade routes. They shipped products like wheat and pigs south to the port of New Orleans. From there, goods were shipped to the East Coast, cities, and to Europe. Without the growth of these river routes in busy ports, the pioneers would have a hard time getting their products to distant markets. And that's important to understand, that these waterways are they're like the main arteries of our nation for transportation. Just like today, the interstate are the main arteries of our nation that are used to transport goods and people. Today we do it by semi-truck. Eventually railroads will be a big factor in transporting goods and people. And but during these early days, it's the river system. And so we need to make as good a use of those rivers as humanly possible. And having access to that Mississippi River was absolutely a game changer for the United States. Not only access to the Mississippi River, but to the port of New Orleans. Controlling that port, which was under the control of France, is again just a huge game changer for the U.S., for a young U.S., not only in controlling North America, but also in creating a more vibrant economy in the United States. Goods will be transported up and down that river to parts of the United States that are more difficult to get to if you are coming by way of, by land from the east, from where the 13 colonies used to be, that early part of the country. And so to be able to use those rivers to transport goods to major waterways, the Gulf of Mexico, and then through the Gulf to the Atlantic Ocean, will really cut down on shipping costs, shipping time, and it's essential to be able to control that river, and especially the port of New Orleans, where those products come in and go out. So the port of New Orleans in 1700, Spain claimed the land west of the Mississippi River, known as Louisiana, including New Orleans. In 1800, France took over this territory. Jefferson was afraid that France would try to stop Americans from using the port, and the pioneers could not ship their goods. This concerned Jefferson. He had to do something to make sure the port stayed open for American trade. He wanted to buy the port of New Orleans. And you can see in this picture just how vibrant port cities back then were, just as they are today. They are still the center, major focus for commercial activity. Whether you're going to Galveston or Houston or New Orleans today, or New York City, San Francisco, all of these places are vibrant places for commercial activity. Louisiana Purchase. Jefferson offered to buy New Orleans from the French. He offered France $2 million. At first, Napoleon, who was the leader of France, a dictator really, didn't want to sell the land. However, he also needed money to fight the war against Britain. Just kind of an aside note, France and Great Britain, I think I've said this even last fall when we were talking about the relationship between France and Britain and the effort to become, take control of North America and other territories around the world. And, they've been battling one another for centuries for control over areas in Europe, and then as exploration takes place, they battle for control over other parts of the world, and this battle continues, even though they both have lost their footing in the United States. They still battle for control in other parts of the world, and quite frankly, wars cost a lot of money, and France could not afford to fight Great Britain for important control over territories, as well as defend Louisiana, this huge swath of land in the United States that went from New Orleans and extended all the way to Canada. From south to north, and then from east to west, it went from the Mississippi River to the Rocky Mountains. That's a huge piece of land that was under French control that they simply could not defend if anybody tried to take it over. Not to mention also that France is fighting a war, really battling a slave rebellion in their colony of Haiti. And they can't fight off this slave rebellion and battle Great Britain and defend Louisiana without running out of money and resources. And so Napoleon makes a surprising offer that he would not just sell New Orleans, but he would sell the entire Louisiana territory, which was much more than what Jefferson was asking for. He just wanted the port city. And so he sells the entire thing for $15 million. What an amazing piece of what an amazing real estate deal. So Jefferson's conflict is he wanted the U.S. to grow, but believed in a strict interpretation of the Constitution. Does the Constitution say the president has the right to buy land? The Constitution does give the president the power to sign treaties, and Napoleon wanted to sign a treaty with Jefferson to buy the Louisiana territory, so he decided that this purchase was constitutional. Plus, trying to get it through Congress, through the legislative branch, would take a long time, and so he kind of, he assumed powers of the Constitution that were not explicitly written in the Constitution, and made a very quick deal. He didn't get any approval for it. He just did it. He acted when the time, the moment was right, and so he took advantage of it. Otherwise, he may have lost it to another country. In 1803, the United States completed the Louisiana Purchase. This purchase doubled the size of the nation. The Louisiana Territory would provide rich resources. It gave the U.S. control of the entire Mississippi River, including the port of New Orleans. And the U.S. was now one of the largest countries in the world. If you can imagine that, it went from the 13 colonies to all the way to the Rocky Mountains by 1803. So this is how the map of the United States now looks after the purchase of Louisiana. And we see that there are some contested areas here, meaning that there are other countries besides the United States that are vying for control of this, namely Russia and Great Britain, as well as right here is part of North Dakota. And we have Spain, who still owns a pretty sizable part of modern-day United States, including Florida. So events leading to the Louisiana Purchase: the United States offers to buy New Orleans from France. France sells the Louisiana Territory to the United States. And of course, France needs that money for war against Great Britain. All right, and this concludes today's lesson on the Louisiana Purchase. Tomorrow we're going to look at, now that we have this land, our president wants to investigate what is out in that territory. And he will send some explorers to investigate that land, who will lead a team of able-bodied men to investigate and explore this vast territory that he purchased from Great Britain, to see what's out there and what he can do with it. If you have any questions, by all means, don't hesitate to contact me at any time. Have a good rest of the day.